Welcome. We're going to tackle one of the biggest questions that federal employees have, one that causes a whole lot of stress when you're planning for the future. And that is, what in the world happens to your health benefits if you leave your job and then come back? It's a huge source of anxiety, but you know what? The answer might actually surprise you.
Okay, let's just get right into it. The specific question we hear all the time goes something like this. If I leave federal service, maybe go to the private sector for a few years, do I have to start my federal employees' health benefits 5-year clock all over again when I come back? And this is a huge deal, right? Because those 5 years are literally the key to taking your health insurance with you into retirement.
So right off the bat, let's just clear the air. The answer is usually a big, resounding no. A break in your federal service does not typically reset your 5-year clock for FEHB. Now, that's a really common myth, and understanding why it's a myth is absolutely the key to protecting your benefits.
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to look at the official rules from the Office of Personnel Management, OPM. And the most important thing to get your head around is that their rule is fundamentally about your health insurance coverage, not just about the job you have.
So here are the official requirements, and honestly, they're pretty straightforward. To keep your FEHB when you retire, OPM says you only need 2 things. First, you have to be covered by FEHB for the 5 years right before you retire. And second, you have to retire on what they call an immediate annuity. That's it.
And this right here, this brings us to the core concept, the real aha moment of this whole thing. The secret is understanding the critical difference between a break in your service and a break in your coverage. They sound kind of similar, I know, but in the eyes of OPM, they are 2 totally different things with very, very different consequences. And this slide illustrates that distinction perfectly. So let's look at the left side. If you have a break in service, that means you leave the federal government for a while, your 5-year clock basically just hits the pause button. The time you're gone doesn't count towards the 5 years, but it also doesn't erase the time you've already banked. So if you had 3 years of coverage before you left, you still have those 3 years when you come back. Now, look at the right side. This is the one to watch out for. A break in coverage. This means you are in a federal job that is eligible for FEHB, but you choose to waive it or cancel your enrollment. That action resets your clock to 0. That's the mistake that could force you to start your 5 years all over again.
So, if a break in service isn't the retirement killer people are afraid it is, then what is the real danger? Let's talk about the actual retirement trap you need to be looking out for, the scenario that can genuinely put your hard-earned benefits at risk.
And this quote from our source material just says it all. The real problem is staying in an FEHB-eligible job, but dropping FEHB or never enrolling, then trying to retire too soon. This is so important. The danger isn't leaving and coming back. It's being inside the system but not being enrolled in the health plan, and then not having enough time to build up those 5 continuous years of coverage before you want to retire.
Okay, now that we've busted the myth and we've pinpointed the real risk, let's talk about solutions. It's not enough to just know the rules. You have to know how to use them to your advantage. So here's your action plan to make sure your benefits are locked down and secure.
It really just comes down to this. First, you've got to shift your focus. Stop worrying so much about gaps in your service history and start focusing on your coverage history. That's what really matters. And second, you have to be proactive. Don't just assume anything. Get a copy of your records, look at your SF50s, and actually verify that you have an unbroken chain of FEHB enrollment for those 5 critical years before you plan to retire.
And that really brings us to the final, most essential question you need to be asking yourself. Now that you know the difference between a service break and a coverage break, is your retirement plan safe from the real 5-year trap? Don't let a technicality catch you by surprise. Go check your coverage history and make sure your future is secure.